What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another redonkulous episode of the Center Beacon. Today we're going to take a look at a surprise test server 2.6.1 midweek test server action. They, I guess, last minute decided to throw up on test server the proposed rebalances of the Ancile shield and the energy shield that comes equipped organically to the Fujin. So apparently there was something to do with a bug, and some shields are receiving double damage. I didn't experience that. Some weren't. But regardless, they decided they needed to take a look at all of the energy shields in the game. And they decided to, I could say tweak, but we're dealing with nerfs. So they've been nerfed, the Ancile and the Fujin. And I don't have a big problem with the Ancile particularly, kind of getting dialed back a little bit. It was a little crazy. The Fujin also dialed back. The Carnage was actually left the same. So here we're looking at some stats. You can see what's on current. Okay, 95,000 hit points, 4,750 regeneration points per second is what you get back. And I'll talk about the reactivation threshold in a second. Proposed new stats. So the hit point pool stays the same. You can see the regen is reduced quite a bit, 2,850 points per second, which basically equates to a 40% regeneration nerf. Now don't panic. I know if you're like me, you saw tons of Anciles hit live, and it seemed like every clan had like 4 or 5 of them, and it was nothing but little blue bars everywhere, and you're like, oh crap, how am I going to deal with that? So it's been dialed back. It's I think it's a pretty good balance. The Ancile on live, it was just way too strong. It came back way too quick, so you could not beat that sucker down. So I'm kind of liking that change. Here we're looking at the same thing, same stats, current on live for the Fujin energy shield, 122,000 deep hit point pool, 6,100 regeneration points per second, 12,200 point reactivation threshold. The reactivation threshold simply means that's how many points it needs to recover or have before it starts to regenerate. So, and then you can see on the right, the hit point pool is the same, regeneration, 3,660 points per second, also a 40% regeneration nerf, which, basically just means they were trying to keep it even, balance them. So it didn't surprise me that the math worked out the same for both shields. The Fujin was also, that thing regenerated really, really quickly. I don't know if you guys had messed with that too much, but it was pretty difficult to bring down. But the Ancile was kind of over the top, and we're going to take a look at it first. Now, I didn't do a whole bunch of testing. I did this quickly since this is like a one-day test server, 1 or 2 days, midweek, which I normally kind of save my videos for the weekend, but I thought I would put this together and get this out there so you guys could at least have an idea of most likely what you're going to see probably in the next update. It's probably coming pretty quick. Like I was saying before, I think they were just going to go ahead and push this to live, but then at the last second, they kind of pumped the brakes and were like, hey, you know what? Let's throw it on test server, see what they say, see if they like it. Now, you can see here the shield getting beat down. It wants to come back a little bit, but it's not as insane as it was. Now, it'll come back there. You can see it kind of ticking up. Okay, I did my battle. I killed my enemies, and, I'm taking the platform. And if you can give it enough time, it will come back. And then you've got, a pretty decent shield back in place. It just doesn't come back as quick. That was the main change. Everything else pretty much stayed the same, except for the regeneration rate and the reactivation threshold. So that's like that pause that you see when your shield gets depleted. It happens to me in the Carnage all the time. Like the shield gets dropped down to 0, and it seems like it sits there forever until it finally starts to come back. That's the reactivation threshold. So here, I'm running the Thunder just so I can see what it'll do to other shields. You can see there's a Natasha up there. And I'm seeing what it'll take to, drop his shield with the Thunder. The Thunder, particularly on the Carnage, is really good at dropping their shield in like 3 hits. The Ancile seemed to, be similar. I didn't notice that it took it right down, and I didn't notice that I couldn't take it down on here on test server. So I felt like the adjustments that they made are probably pretty fair. Now, I bumped up my Ancile on live a few levels. I think I took it to like level 8 or something. And it was pretty effective even at level 8, which we all know that like most weapons sitting at level 8 aren't terribly effective. So it did need some reeling in. So here's a Ancile Lancelot. I take down his shield. I think I got a little bit of help there, maybe 4 or 5 shots, depleted the thunder, and then try to finish him off with the Orkans. But you can see if that had been on live, as it is right now, I probably wouldn't have gotten nearly as much of that guy's bot as I actually did. So I felt like this was a pretty decent change. Fairly. I don't know. I think it called for it. I think they have a tendency sometimes to, when they buff something, they way over buff it, and when they nerf it, they way over nerf it. I'm not sure what exactly governs that. I would make more incremental changes, but I'm not in charge. So I'm just the guy that, like you, has to live with the changes. So I'm happy with these changes, and I think they worked out all right. So again, it's a quick look at the regeneration rates are pretty much what you're going to notice that have been reduced by 40% for both the Ancile and the Fujin. And actually, I'm going to take a look at the Fujin here in a minute. And my experience with the Fujin is not as extensive as with the Lance or the Ancile Lancelot. I play those bots way more. I rarely take the Fujin out of the garage, but nonetheless, here it is. And again, I'm just trying to bait somebody into shooting me with something that splashes, so I can kind of get an idea of the shield. There you can see it starts to get depleted. Not really fighting its way back too much at all. Whereas on live, that thing with the regeneration rate that it did have, it kind of starts to, it was the same problem with the Ancile. They start to immediately fight back. And unless you had coordinated fires with your teammates, it's really difficult to bring down. And I think that's probably, I would love to know like the percentage of people that play like solo versus in a team game. But we used teamwork, and we didn't have too much of a problem with the Anciles. We would coordinate on comms, hey, there's another one, get his shield down and I'll hit him with my rockets or whatever it was. And so it wasn't a huge problem. But I can imagine for those of you out there who solo quite a bit, it was probably pretty annoying. So it looks like it's going to be fixed. I didn't find it too much of an over nerf. They had mentioned somewhere like maybe 33%, but they actually went full 40%. So let me know what you guys think, and kind of give me some feedback, and I can see if I'm crazy here or not. But I like these changes. I think it'll make it where the Ancile will be a situational weapon. It can be used as part of a coordinated team effort to provide cover to capture a beacon or hold a beacon or what have you. But it's not going to be so overpowered that you're going to see it on every heavy bot out there. So, okay, again, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, and I will see you next time at the center. Be good.